Hi, it's David again. I just wanted to do a video here on Utah being number one in so many areas of importance in our lives as human beings. And when you're number one, I think you got to kind of take a look at your responsibility and the prestige that you get if you're a number one football or basketball team. There's a lot of prestige and power there. Let me just do a quick video here on what Utah is number one for that I know about. Now, you may hit the internet and find out there's many other areas. Number one, it has the most polygamous families. We know that. Polygamy's not gone in the Mormon church. I live in the middle of this, and I'm telling you, polygamy is not gone in the Mormon church. I've been down to Bluffdale. I've been to two polygamous organizations down there. I've gone to their sacrament meeting. I've seen how well behaved their children are. They're better than normal Mormon kids who are jumping the benches and eating Cheerios. The polygamous kids behave. I've talked to some of their young people. I took lessons from a dentist who was pretty much in charge of the missionary program, and he had a beautiful house. I guess it had 23 bedrooms. I think he had 6 or 7 wives and who knows, 30 kids. But he fed them and he provided for them. He's a polygamist. And I met some of his buddies and went through the lesson that they give to see if you really want to be a polygamist. Well, after about 3 lessons, they came to me and said, we don't think you're going to make a very good polygamist. And so I said, well, you did get revelation and you got it right. I'm just not into a multiple type of 3 or 4 wives. You know, one girl. I don't know how many of you have been married, but good Lord, try to make one woman happy and then try to make 7 or 10 of them happy. You're talking a fast trip ticket to a mental institution. So Utah's number one in polygamy. And let me tell you something. In the mainline Mormon church, there's still polygamy that goes on. Now it's quiet. You've seen Big Love and Sister Wives and whatever. Those are subtle, under the radar kinds of marriages that are going on. And those people do attend the Mormon church, and no one says much about it. It's their business. So Utah's number one in polygamy. I know of at least 3 groups, 2 in Bluffdale and 1 out by Payson. And the Attorney General doesn't do a thing. You can walk out and see the long dresses and the ponytails, and when you go to sacrament meeting, you see a guy sitting there with 5 wives and 23 kids. That doesn't tip you off that maybe there's polygamy going on? Well, not to the officials of the state of Utah. They say one thing, like the Mormons always do. They say the right things. They always do the wrong things. It's like a circus. Every day I wake up, they find something new and stupid that I can say on my video. All right, yesterday, they have another number one position. Now let me give you a couple of others because the last one I want to enjoy. They're obese. They're one of the, I think they're 3rd. I'm not sure they're number 1, but I think they're 3rd or 2nd fat in the United States. Now, I'm probably part of that generation. I don't know. But you know, when you're 64 years old, you can do some stuff you shouldn't get away with, like a tank top when you're 28, when you've got 5 kids and you weigh 290 pounds. Girls, that is overweight. So they compulsively eat. Okay, so they're number 1, number 2, 3 in that area. They're number 1 in bankruptcies. There are more Ponzi schemes and more pyramid schemes. Anything from Amway to Scamway. Ponzi schemes. Mormons don't want to work. I'm telling you, you put a 19-year-old boy in a suit and pay for everything for 2 years on a mission, he's not going to come back and put a hard hat on and get down and do cement work. Common sense stuff. It ain't going to happen. So when somebody says, well, gee, if you, if you buy this food, you get it for a discount, but if you get 10 of your friends to buy it, you get it for free. Mormons can't resist that kind of a deal. He goes, I don't have to work. I just get out the ward list or the state directory and start calling all the people I know, and I sign them up. Well, those are rampant in Utah. Mormons don't want to work. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've lived it. I've heard it. I don't care what they say. They're lazy. They take off Thursday early. They usually don't work Fridays. They use all their holiday time. They cheat their bosses. They find ways of scamming meetings. And, oh, she's at a meeting. You call, I don't care, the schools, the DMV, the Department of Education. If you call them anytime after 2 o'clock on Thursday, you're stupid. The Mormons have all gone home because they got no time. They're in meetings and meetings and meetings. They got to go buy groceries. They got to go buy Halloween costumes. They have to take care of their kids. And the Mormon church just keeps them so frenzied, they don't have time to do that. So they cheat, lie, and steal at employment. Now, every one of them? Of course not. I'm not being ridiculous here. I'm telling you what I've seen and what I've heard. When I've gone over to City Hall, or I've gone to the school district, or the library, or the Department of Education, the DMV, I'm telling you what I have experienced. They're lazy, they don't want to work. So they're number one in Ponzi schemes. If they think they can get rich quick, man, that's it. And the housing boom, Utah was right at the front. We had all kinds of contract sales where you don't tell the bank, you don't get an appraiser, you don't check any titles, you just start paying your friend's payment, and you two sign a contract, and after you make all the payments, he then signs the house over to you. Oh my God, and I have to admit, I got into one of those deals. I'm not that smart. Beautiful home, $4,000 a month. I said, you know, let's do it. Well, here's what happens in Utah. You trust these Mormons. You see them in the sacrament meetings and state conferences, and their tie and their holier than thou and their wings. And they say, hey, you can have my house for $4,000 a month. No down, just move in and make my payment. Well, you do for 6 months. Then the damn bank shows up and goes, we're repoing the house. I go, how can you repo the house? I've been making the payments. You go, well, the payments that you've been making to your buddy, he went to Hawaii on. He bought a house in the Bahamas, and you're out on your butt. You've lost, whatever, $24,000 in payments. Welcome to Utah. Welcome to scams. Bankruptcies. Number one. Now here's the one I want to finish with, because I don't want to go into everything they're number one in. If you look up assholes, you'll probably see the Mormon church right beside in the dictionary. But anyway, here's the new one. And you know I have a Mormon wife. I've told you that on other videos. And she still believes that Joseph Smith found gold plates and an angel hid them. So I can't see them. So I'm an atheist, she is a Mormon, and we get along pretty fun, and we have our moments. But for the most part, it's all fun, I'm telling you. I'm not bitter or angry at the Mormon church. I think it is the funniest damn thing I've ever seen. That full-grown adults go to the temple and scream, pay, lay, ale. These are attorneys. These are judges. Pay, lay, ale. I'm going, what the hell? Oh God, hear the words of my mouth. Oh God, hear the words of my mouth. I'm going, hey, maybe that belongs in a prayer by your bed at night, but not in public with 70 or 80 people watching. Well, here's what they're number one in now, okay? Pornography. Now, I don't mean like we go on the computer and we hit some free sites and we take a peek. And that's going to be men, and it's going to be boys. We are very, very visual sexually. Girls aren't. They don't care what a penis looks like. They don't compare penises, and it's not that exciting to them. They want to be loved and hugged and kissed and said, I love you. And then sex comes into their mind. Sex is in a man's mind 24/7. Now, I don't mean a peekaboo. This kills me. Utah is number one, traced by credit cards. not by some oppositional Mormon group or somebody who's trying to make the church look bad. They do a wonderful job themselves. They don't need any enemies. They are their worst own enemies. When they open their mouths, they're a comic act. They should be in stand-up comedy. So this company traced the credit cards that are used to buy, not play with, but buy pornography. Now, anyone that knows anything about pornography, the free stuff is, you know, it can be decent, but when you pay for it, oh my gosh. Now, I've never paid for it, and I can prove it. I've never paid for it, and I'm telling you again from what I see and what I hear. Okay, when you buy a site and you pay $24 or $13, or I don't even know what the prices are per month, you get real hardcore pornography. I mean, you can get, I'm not going to go into it on my video because I never know if kids are watching or anyone else. But you can get the outer fringes of pornography. Now, these are men in Utah. Okay, and I said this to my sweet little wife, and she said, well, it's probably all the non-members in Utah. I go, right. Anyway, the non-members are not sexually repressed. It's the Mormon men whose wives are always pregnant and who want polygamy because, you know, at least somebody's available 24/7, 365. So these men that have 7 or 8 kids, and I guess this is kind of where I'm coming from. I'm not against pornography. If a girl is 18 and she's not being forced and of her own free will she wants to show her naked body, that's her business. If somebody wants to look at her naked body, that's their business. And you know, I've never seen men fall in love with a vagina. It has no legs. It has no arms. And if you take it to a wedding, a lot of people will show up to see your wife. Now, it's ridiculous. Women in the U.S. are so insecure that they don't want to have their man have sex with them, but they don't want him to have sex with anybody else. And so, I've said on my other videos that pornography in its place, I don't have a problem with. Now, obviously, if you're getting blisters on your hand, you're overdoing it. So, these are men that have 6, 7, 8 kids. They're probably between 23 and maybe 40. That's I didn't read those numbers, okay? I always try to tell you the truth, 100% the truth, okay? That's what I suspect. Because 40-year-old men, obviously, you know, they're going to go through a second childhood anyway. So, these men who are supposed to be supporting children, paying for dance lessons, paying for karate lessons, and soccer equipment, and basketballs, and these things that should go to a family. Now, I'm not saying that men shouldn't spend money on themselves. Some men go hunting, they buy a gun. Some men enjoy, going down with the boys to the lodge overnight or something, and joining service clubs, etc. So I'm not against that. Here's what I'm kind of against. If a man is spending money on pornography and he has a family to raise, I don't feel good about that. I'm not going to judge him. I'm not going to say, oh, he's an evil man, Satan's after him. Oh, I'm not going to do that because I'm not a Mormon. I'm an atheist and I don't really give a rat's ass what people do. I'm just trying to be a good person myself. But isn't it interesting that prescription drugs, I'm jumping now, prescription drugs addiction is #1 in Utah. Women are addicted to drugs in Utah. Is that because they're happy the way they're treated? Is that because they like being a baby factory? Is that because they left college and they're desperate and have to stay with this idiot husband that they have? So, they're #1 in prescription drug addiction, they're #2 in overeating, and #1 in bankruptcies, and #1 in paid pornography sites. Now, I have a master's degree, I've told you that before, and a psychology background, etc. You don't have to go to college to figure this one out. I know why those people are #1 in those areas. I've been a Mormon over 50 years. I lived, I saw, and I heard what it's like to be a Mormon. They are so guilty and so fearful and so low self-esteem, they just stuff food in their mouths 24/7. I go down to the school to pick up my younger one at the elementary school, and the women that come in there to pick up kids are pushing a stroller with 2 kids in it, 1 kid in their arm, and talk about too much junk in the trunk. They got an ass that is getting out of the car while they're walking into the building. They're Mormons. They eat because they're unhappy people. They smile like the Chinese. They smile, but they're unhappy people. They say one thing, but look at their damn bodies. Look at them. I'm diabetic. Yeah, I'm overweight. Sometimes I overshoot the insulin, get really hungry. That's not a total excuse. But I ain't 22 years old anymore. I don't want a 28-year-old wife that looks like she's, 53. Her ankles look like a damn tree trunk. Those are not happy people that overeat. Now, I have an educated background on depression, some knowledge on psychotropic drugs. Why is Prozac, Valium, Ativan so popular in Utah? Because the women are going crazy. They've got 4, 5, or 6 kids. Have you ever had 5 kids under, say, 7 or 8 years old? I have. Custody of 5 kids. Alone, a single dad. And my youngest was a baby, 8 months. I needed drugs. I was crazy. Thank God I got remarried and got some help. A lot of these girls that look like, the redwood trees up in California now, no one's going to remarry them. No one wants to take on a family of 4, 5, 6 kids. And most of the kids act like idiots anyway because they don't have a father that's home or spending time with them. So, you don't need a psychology degree to go, gee, that don't sound right. You can be an ordinary common person with common sense and go, shit. They overeat, they're #1 in drug addictions, and they're sexually repressed so bad that they're #1 using their credit cards, buying sex. And they're lazy, they don't want to work, they want to get rich quick. Any Ponzi scheme, any pyramid, the Mormons just raise their hand and sustain anyone that is basically running a get-rich-quick scheme. So let me just summarize what I'm saying. Yeah, I have an education. Yeah, I've counseled people. Yeah, I've had fat people. I've had depressed people. I've had schizophrenics. I've had bipolar. I've had, borderline. I know that stuff. And I know the drugs that people take. I'm not a doctor. And I ain't that smart. But you and me can look at the #1 categories of Utah and Mitt Romney smiling with his magic garments and going, we're a happy people. When they shut that front door, or that bedroom door, they are not happy people. They're fearful, they're guilty, they're repressed, and they're in a damn cult. And the cult trains them to smile in public. Hi, here's some chocolate chip cookies we made for you. When they shut that damn door and come in their own homes, it's the screaming, the yelling, the slamming doors. She goes into the bedroom, locks the door, pops 3 or 4 #10 Valium, and just lays there. And Dad now is trying to fix lunch for the kids. And now he goes in and says, what the hell is going on? And she's got a Relief Society lesson, and this sister said that, and she's got a 2-talk Sunday for the 2 little kids. She's going crazy. Why do these moms drown, I was going to say baptize, drown their children in a bathtub? Why do these mothers drive off of a cliff with 4 or 5 little kids? Why are the suicide rates? They're not #1 in suicide, but they're high. They're high in suicides. Teen pregnancy is a push and a shove. I've read both sides of the issue. And it appears that it's not any higher than the rest of the states combined. But they do have a teen pregnancy problem. They hate Planned Parenthood. Any doctors that do abortions, they're not going to even be accepted anywhere in the community. So, use your common sense. If you're going to go buy a car like you're going to buy a religion, God, go drive the car. Get on the internet and read what other people who own this car. And if all the other people are saying, this car sucks, it breaks down, when it's cold it won't start, it gets 3 miles to the gallon, and when I went to trade it, it was worth only $1. Are you going to jump and buy that car? Maybe you will. I don't think so, because if you're watching this video, you're smarter than that. If you're looking for a religion in your life, and they're number one, you know, in all of those negative areas, don't you have to say to yourself, what the hell is going on? This is not what I hear about the Mormons. They have these billboards along the roads, and they have these commercials on TV, and they're smiling, and beautiful little girls, and the BYU cheerleaders. When I went to BYU, I drove the cheerleaders on a bus. I was a charter bus driver. I drove the football team, the cheerleaders. I also drove the program bureau. I've seen those people. I've also taken many, many state presidents and their temple trips to Manti before the Provo Temple was built. And I'm going to tell you, he's dead now. I'm going to tell you because it's the truth. I can't get sued on the truth. Harold B. Jones. Jones Paint and Glass in Provo, St. George, one of the biggest paint and glass factories. They do make their own windows, and glazing company in Utah. I took him on a temple trip once or twice down to the Manti Temple. The biggest asshole I've ever met. He's smiling at his members and patting them on the back, and I'm just a lowly bus driver. He treated me like a third-class citizen, like shit. I was the scum of the earth. I had temple garments, I had a temple recommend, but I didn't dress in a suit and tie. I had to drive that damn bus. So I've seen this double image. I've heard the words, the way he talked. I heard his inflection to me. I heard his volume to me. And I interpreted his intent. I am his servant. He paid for me. Like he pays for, or the Mormons pay for, polygamous wives. So please, don't believe me. Go talk to the Mormons. Go sit in their chapel. Smile. And watch them take the sacrament and feed their kids Cheerios, and then when they get out to the car, they beat the crap out of that kid because he's such an idiot. Truth is the truth. You can't hide from the truth. If you like being a Mormon, good Lord, pay your money, go to the mall. Don't get any accounting. Just pay your money, have faith, go to the mall. If you're looking at the Mormon church, my God, look hard. Look hard. This is a broken down, worthless car that you're going to be stranded with many, many years and frustrated with, and it's not fun. It's not fun. I have a nice car, a new car. I enjoy it, going out and turning the key, and the damn thing starts. I wasn't always that way. I used to be a Mormon. God, I had bald tires because I couldn't afford. God, I drove without insurance because I couldn't afford. God, I ran out of gas many times because I couldn't afford the gas. And I got 7 or 8 little kids in the back seat, no seat belts, hidden underneath the seats. Been there, seen it, done it. They're not a happy people. If you want a car that starts all the time, that's dependable, there's no stress, and the seats are heated in it, geez. Don't give them 10% of your money. My 10% makes the payment on that car. I get more out of the car than I ever got out of the Mormon church. The Mormon Jesus never did anything for me. Never. I pray to the atheist God as much as I pray to the Jesus God. I get the same results. I had to make a decision, and I have. The stress is gone. The drugs are gone. I was a prescription drug addict. I'm going to admit that. I was a prescription drug addict when I was a Mormon. I could not be perfect. And they pound you and threaten you. You're going to get excommunicated. You didn't do your home teaching. You've got a lesson on Tuesday. You didn't show up for Sunday school. We went out to the orchard and you weren't there. And last week at the temple ceremony, you weren't there. It goes on and on and on. And I am just drugging, going, I can't do all this. That's what the women are doing, and the men, like me, are doing too. So please, take a hard look at that new car. Buy a good one, or you're going to be sorry. I spent 50 years, and I'm sorry. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not, trying to tear apart the Mormon church. I'm just telling you the truth. Everything that the truth says, the Mormons say, Oh, that's anti-Mormon. Oh, he's an apostate. I'm telling you, Joseph Smith married 2 14-year-olds. Go look it up on the Mormon genealogical chart in Salt Lake City on their website. Is that anti-Mormon, or is that just a fact? They think that Joseph marrying 2 children is a good idea. They also thought Brigham marrying 57 is a good idea. So they say, I'm anti-Mormon. No, the Mormon Church is anti-Mormon. Look at their history. Look at what they say. Look at what they do. They're their worst enemies. They don't need anyone like me going, oh, they're terrible, and giving you my opinion. I'm not giving you an opinion. I'm telling you for 50 years, a half a century, what I lived with. I was drug addicted because of the stress. Once I resigned from the Mormon Church, the drugs disappeared. The stress disappeared. Be careful. They're tricky.